My name is Michael Erlewine. We're going to talk about just basic meditation. If you ask a Tibetan Lama or a Tibetan where their mind is, they don't point to their heads like we do. They point to their heart. Actually, they kind of point to the middle of their chest. While we all, we think that the mind is in the head. Now, the mind can't be in two places. It can't be in one place for the Tibetans and in another place for Westerners. So that's a good sign that the mind is not physical. It doesn't reside in one place. It has no physical home. Now, we all have our habits, and one of them is using the mind to look out at the world around us. And we also have assumptions, like that our mind is good to go, just as it comes out of the box. We assume that our mind, the mind itself, is transparent, perfectly clear, a proper lens for us to view the world through. After all, we've been using our mind all of our lives. Of course, our vision is clear. It's unimpeded. In this way, our mind lives on kind of a one-way street. We are only looking one way, and that way is looking out at the world around us. It's our habit. It's a deeply ingrained habit. For the most part, and for most of us, we have never thought to, or we've never learned to look inward at the mind itself. So there you have it. Those are just a couple of differences between the East and the West. Here in America, we believe the mind is in our head. The Tibetans find it in their heart. We use the mind only to look out, while the Tibetans have learned to look both ways. They look out at the world as we do, but they also look in at the mind itself. And there are lots of other differences. The Tibetans don't assume the mind is clear like we do, just as it is. But they assume rather that each of us probably needs some kind of prescription mental glasses. And they call that meditation or mind training. And we need that in order to see clearly. And there's even more. Some Asians feel that our mind is like a projector, like a movie projector, and that what we see out there in the world depends to a great deal on what we fear, what we hope, and what we believe in here, in our minds, either our minds here or our minds here. In other words, we project our own inner movies on the screen of the outside world, and then we raptly watch them, as if that what we're seeing out there is the absolute truth, while much of what we're seeing is just our own bias, prejudice, and fears personified and projected. Now, unfortunately, our upbringing, our social veneer here in the West, is in lockstep with a kind of fixed mental outlook, this looking outlook, so that any gaps or chinks in our mental armor are probably few to none. In fact, for many of us, it takes a personal tragedy for us to kind of vacate our biases, even for a few days, and to actually look around in life. I suppose that even pointing this out here makes me some kind of a social critic or malcontent, and what I have to say just appear as another rant. I can understand that. If this particular situation, the way things are for us in the mind here in the West, if it didn't cause what I see as prolonged suffering, I would just let it go and not say anything. But when I see that people I care about, or people that I love and that are close to me, are causing their own suffering, I find that hard to take. And I'm not above it all either. I am my own worst enemy as well, so I'm not trying to be above all of this. Now, what I consider the saving grace here is what little that I've been able to learn about looking both ways, looking out, but also I've been learning to look in and to see why outside is as it is, and to gradually remove obscurations so that I can see ever more clearly. Now, of course I'm talking about meditation, and I hate to bring up the word because the word is so colored, and it's the only word, the Tibetans have dozens of words of meditation, grades of meditation, types of meditation. We just have one word, meditation, and that's supposed to cover everything from lava lamps to incense to the kind of meditation that's been practiced for thousands of years. When it comes to meditation, I'm kind of like a bulldog with a bone. I can't seem to let go of talking about how incredible the results of meditation actually are. But don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about practicing meditation. Practicing of any kind, and particularly with meditation, can be tedious. I'm talking about actually learning to meditate. And I'm even beyond the learning point. I'm saying we learn it. I'm actually talking about the clarity and benefits of real meditation. And I've been doing this a long time. The hardest part of learning meditation is building a habit of mindfulness, of being mindful. But that's what it's all about. Developing mindfulness as a habit typically involves, and we all know this, sitting in a corner of our house, maybe on a cushion, or in some quiet place, and gradually practicing the basic techniques of meditation. Now, this takes time. And when I'm speaking here, the emphasis on the word practice. And the purpose of practice of any kind is to learn and make a habit, in this case of mindfulness. We need mindfulness in order to meditate. And we need, at least I do, we need meditation in order to see clearly and to respond skillfully to life. Now, once a real meditation or a real mindfulness habit is acquired, then we can be said to actually begin to meditate. Before that, what we're doing, although we might not know it, is practicing meditation, building a habit of being mindful. Not everyone's good at rote practicing, like learning to type on a typewriter or memorizing the multiplication tables, and I'm one of them. Some folks do better than others at creating habits, although I've never had trouble creating bad habits. That comes easily to me. If you can easily build a habit of mindfulness, then meditation, true meditation, will come effortlessly. By all means, do that. If not, as it is with me, it can be difficult, and it can take a very long time. There is an alternate approach to meditation for those of you who have trouble with just doing rote practice, with the tedium of rote practice. If you'll take the time to understand what basic meditation is technically, how it works, and then to actually learn that technique, it doesn't take that long. Once you understand it, you can begin to apply it throughout your day, not just on the cushion, not just when you, quote, meditate or practice meditating, but in many other things that you do. It doesn't all have to happen sitting on a cushion in a quiet place, especially if that doesn't work well for you, especially if you can't sit still. So in a word, mindfulness is just that, being mindful of whatever you're doing, and learning that when you get distracted from whatever task you've set for yourself and find yourself daydreaming, kind of lost, to gently bring the mind back to the object at hand and continue as you were. This is the simple technique. This is the simple act that's the basic technique of all beginning meditation. To become aware of when we're distracted, to catch ourselves, not punish ourselves for being distracted, but just very gently bring the mind back to what we're doing. That's beginning meditation. And we do this again and again and again, always bringing the mind gently back to the task at hand until it becomes habitual, a habit. And it just becomes natural for us to remain focused instead of falling out of focus, every which way. Once you have built a habit of mindfulness, that is, of remaining focused, then all that remains is to learn to let the mind rest in that awareness that we're maintaining through the mindfulness. And relax in the true sense it took me years to realize that when the Tibetan Buddhist teachers told me to allow the mind to rest, they mean the same kind of rest that you and I do when we are tired at the end of the day and just want some R&R. We just want to let go. That's the kind of rest they're talking about. That's the kind of rest you and I like to do. So we just learn to rest in whatever we're doing. And we continue that technique until the effort of mindfulness, the effort it takes for us trying to do it, has kind of subsided into actually just a habit of doing it. And we're already naturally relaxing in some kind of mindfulness. We're just being present. Now, at that point, we are meditating or very close to it. Now, we might ask ourselves, why bother to do all this? All I can say, from having done it for quite a long time, that meditation is known by its extreme clarity and awareness. Once we get past the beginning, the learning, the habit, once actual meditation is achieved and becomes a habit, the mind just naturally wants to remain in that state. And it even seeks opportunities to meditate. Not just on the cushion, not just 10 minutes a day or half an hour a day, but opportunities that appear throughout the day in all of the various activities that we do. Unfortunately, it took me almost forever to get to the point of actually meditating, because I am naturally rebellious and I refuse just to bite the bullet and to learn the habit of mindfulness. However, once I experienced real meditation with its clarity and sense of spaciousness, I began to feel uncomfortable and obscured if I was not in that state, at least part of every day. So kind of without realizing, in the beginning I found myself looking through my daily schedule, trying to find my way back into that meditative state. What I'm trying to say is that at first, my meditation was not portable, or not very portable. For me, in the beginning, I could only do it with photography, and then only very gradually. But over time, and this is maybe getting too complex, I separated the technique of meditation from the photography, and I used it for like very tedious close-up photography. And gradually I was able to separate the meditation from the photography, and I understood that what led to meditation, what was the object of my meditation, like doing photographs. I would go in photographs and I would come away with a very clear mind. I gradually saw that what was the baby and what was the bathwater. The baby was the meditation. The bathwater was the photography or whatever else I was doing. Once I knew that, what was important, then I began to include other activities in my day, like writing, computer programming, video editing, and so on. They became objects of meditation, and the list continues to grow. Today, my meditation is quite portable compared to what it used to be. I can use it throughout the day on almost anything I do, or at least anything that requires some kind of attention and focus. And as many of you know, I endlessly write about this, and you might wonder, why is that? The why of that is because, at least for me, meditation is way better than anything else I have ever experienced. It's also free and not harmful. It gives me the time that I need in life to respond skillfully to the various challenges every day presents to me. A little space, a little buffer, a little room, a little vision. For me, at least, it's the very best thing that I have ever experienced that's legal and not lethal, and that I can indulge in as much as I want. It just feels natural.